Hey, friend, welcome back. This is Produce Perform. And if you're new, my name's Lucas. Been producing music for a long time. Now I pretty much only produce Christian music, specifically live worship recordings. And so that's what this channel is all about. And today we're going to talk about how basically taking a minimalist approach in your verses can really make your mix better, make the whole song better. And this is more of an arrangement editing type of thing rather than, an EQ type of thing. So we're going to go through and I'm just going to show you guys just some cool things that you can do to make your mix pop out. Because, people don't care to listen to the same level of the same impact and energy level the entire time. There has to be ups and downs. There has to be a dynamic. And as much as I love a dynamic EQ, and you guys know that, this won't produce that type of thing. You can't just throw dynamic EQs all the time and then have an awesome song. Unfortunately, I would actually love to do that. But anyways, real quick before we get started, mixing cheat sheet down below, EQ and compression settings, absolutely free. Pick that up. Okay, so let's dive in. We are back in this Isn't He mix. I figured this was a good one to try and kind of explain what I would do here. So what we're gonna accomplish here is we're gonna make verse 2 sound so drastically down compared to the chorus 2. So let's just give this a listen real quick, and we'll start on verse 2.
That none could earn. This Jesus, extravagant. He's the keeper of His promise and His word. Oh yes, such goodness, such faithfulness, yeah. Oh, so wonderful.
All right, so now you guys can kind of hear there's a good build already in there. There's already some good things, but there's a lot going on already in verse 2 that kind of takes away from the impact of chorus 2. So the drums aren't going like heavy in, and it's a kind of a normal thing in worship music today, is where the drums really don't go full big beat until later in the song, maybe even never. And so you kind of have to get creative on what's going on outside of the drums to kind of create impact. And so that's what we're going to do here in verse 2. So we're just going to zoom into verse 2 here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo all these pads, guitars, and keys right here, because this is where we're going to manipulate things and very much change things to, basically create more impact on the chorus, but have less impact in the verse. So let's just give these a solo and listen to them. Okay, so immediately I feel like this second guitar here that is kind of a little bit more spacey, not doing the palm muting. So I don't even think that needs to be in all the way. So what we're going to do here is I like this little part here. I don't want that extra part here, so we'll crop that out. And that part. So let's take, so we're going to mute these two first parts. So we're just going to highlight there and mute, highlight there and mute. And so now even just taking this part out, and then let's add some fades on here. Okay. even just taking that part out is going to add some impact. And we're probably going to want to bring this electric down a little bit. And actually what I might do here is, sorry, there's a fly in my face, as I'm actually going to lower this a little bit just on the gain, just so it has less of an impact. And we could do this in automation too. It doesn't really matter.
Giver of a grace that none could earn. This Jesus, extravagant. He's the keeper of his promise and his word. Oh yes, such goodness, such faithfulness.
So I actually don't even want this here. Let's go ahead and take that out, and then let's fade this in here. So you guys can hear it opened up the mix quite a bit already. Just taking that guitar out, we didn't really need it there, but it sounds good in this big chorus, really emphasizing the main part of the song. Something else that I don't think we need is the pads here, because I think this is just a drone pad. In all honesty, we probably don't even need this until like the bridge or something. So we're just gonna mute that, and let's give this a listen without it. Let me fade it out here.
Isn't he giver of a grace that none could earn? This Jesus, extravagant. He's the keeper of his promise and his word.
All right, so I think what we're also going to do is take out this acoustic. You can just get crazy with it, and I kind of want to hear when the acoustic starts to build. You know what? Let's just take it out here. See what it sounds like.
Giver of a grace that none could earn. This Jesus, extravagant. He's the keeper of his promise and his word.
Yeah, it already just sounds so much cleaner in that area, to where then the chorus can just hit so much harder. And so what we're gonna do here is on pads, on the second pads channel, which I don't think it should be labeled pads, it should probably be labeled synth. But anyways, it has this little sound here that it kind of mimics the little call and response. So super cool little sound there. But I want that to be louder. So we're just going to cut that out, and then we're going to boost it like 5 dB or something crazy. And let's
Oh yes, such goodness.
ooh, maybe even more. Actually, you know what? Here, let's automate it. So we're going to go to our volume automation here, and we're just going to give this a little bit of a boost. Another 5 dB. What's 10 dB again? Nothing, right?
Such goodness, such faithfulness, yeah. Oh, so
And then on this guitar, it kind of comes in a little abruptly. I didn't need to cut it there, but so sometimes what I'll do is I'll just do like a fade like that. So it kind of like, it's like a guitar player is almost like fading in, coming in like that, that second guitar player is kind of fading into coming into that chorus there.
such faithfulness, yeah. Oh, so wonderful.
And then you guys can hear in the chorus, it just explodes in the left and right, because now you have both of these electrics panned hard. And then one last thing that I like to do, and I don't know if you guys noticed it, I kind of already put it in, but there is a tambourine hit here on the second half of the verse where it starts building. It's only on a couple of the snare hits. So here, just give this a listen real quick. So that's all that is. That's all that is. And so let's listen to it in context here.
Keeper of his promise and his word. Oh, yeah.
the reason I like to do that sometimes halfway through the verse is it's good to add like a different texture halfway through the verse to keep the listener's attention, and I understand as, Christians, we should be able to just, sit and soak in the spirit for hours on end. But not everybody's like that. We're still people. We still need to be somewhat entertained, right? And so this is going to catch your ear in a weird way. It doesn't need to be super present. It just needs to kind of add another texture to the mix to keep that attention, to kind of draw your ear left or right, or like, oh, that's a new sound, and it's, you can feel that it's building. And then last but not least, I always like to add a swell to a crash here. And so basically I just take a cymbal sample. And so here I can show you here. This is the cymbal sample. Okay. So I just take that sample and then I reverse it and then bump them up next to each other. So it sounds like this. Okay. So super simple. I could probably even fade that in a little bit better, but you guys get the point. Give this a listen in context. It shouldn't be very loud. It should really almost add tension in the background to where it's like you're not really hearing it, but you're feeling it within the aspect of the entire song.
Such faithfulness, yeah. Oh, so wonderful.
The crash of the drummer really overtakes this, but really what we're focusing on is the anticipation building from the swell here into the actual crash itself. And the reason I like to put the crash on the end is just so it matches the sound. It almost sounds smoother. Sometimes if you have a cymbal sample that is not the same as the cymbals that you're using, or it doesn't sound like the ones that the drummer are using, then it just sounds a little off. And so I like to at least put that crash back into it. And you guys can also see I do it later here in the song. But yeah, now the entire chorus too hits so much harder, even though the drums really aren't changing too much. It's us using what we have available. Now you probably can't really, in a live worship mix recording, you probably can't really do this much with drums or vocals, maybe with some BGVs and stuff. But since you always need to be checking what's mainly in the room mics, because if you have the room mics up, then you can't necessarily take some things out because maybe it's too prominent in the room mics, and then that could, create a whole nother version of issues for you down the road, and that's miserable. And so you need to be very conscious of what you can take out and not take out. And so synths, guitars, keys, anything like that, shakers, tambo, any percussion and stuff, to where you can kind of manipulate it and then recreate the mix that was in the room in a different way, to where you can create space in these verses so then that space is allowed to be filled. I think there's a lot of times where we don't leave space in the song to be filled later, so then it's just filled the whole time. And this is almost like a sermon, right? It's like you need to make some space in your heart for the Lord, but you also need to make some space in your song for it to be filled with something new, with something great, which could be another guitar or synth or more intensity of whatever you're already doing. Don't overdo it up front. I think one of the best music production pieces of advice I've ever gotten was don't give them everything up front. Don't give them everything up front. You want to keep people engaged. And I know this is sort of a pop music type of tip or method, but it works, and we're still people. Like, we still need our, we need to keep our attention, or keep other people's attention. And this is a great way of doing that, almost at like a subconscious level, to where you're taking some things out and then adding more impact later in the song. So do this on your next mix, mute some stuff, or maybe when you're producing music, if you're creating a new worship song and you're like, man, it's not dynamic enough. Maybe you have too much going on, especially in the verses or in the choruses, or, this doesn't have to be only in a verse. It doesn't have to only be in a bridge. You can do cut down choruses. You can do whatever you want. Like, there's no rules. It's just what is going to keep the listener engaged And most importantly, for what we do, it's, worship is, mixing for worship music and everything is what can you do to keep the person in the spirit, or to have a better experience with the Lord, or whatever, like that, whatever it has to do with the Lord, whatever the mission of your song is trying to do. How can you do that by maybe taking something away so that something greater can come later? Yeah, that was good. Dang. Okay, anyways, that's it for the video. I love you guys. I will see you guys next Tuesday. When do I post videos? Tuesday. Wow, that was rough. Anyways, mixing cheat sheet down below, absolutely free. Love you guys, and I will see you next Tuesday. Tuesday. Okay, bye.